It's late at night in a Canadian city and Antoine suddenly wakes up to warn the family about him. Of an emergency, he rushes to wake up his daughter. He gets up too and makes sure he remembers to keep going. All the steps you have been taught, but realize, he forgot his turtle and has to go back. To grab it, the mother is already waiting in the garage with their emergency bags, and when everyone is ready, they go by car, taking care to make as little noise as possible. The family goes around the city and when, finally, reach the bridge that would take them off the island, Antoine checks the stopwatch to confirm that they had a good time. Result: there was never an emergency, this was just right. A drill, even though Antoine reminds him of his daughter, that she should always remember to bring the tortoise, because during a real emergency, they wouldn't be able to go back for it. Antoine is obsessed with it. Be able to survive when the company finally collapses and forces the family to engage in activities such as this all the time, from punching the holes to sealing the bags. Food together. Your inspiration comes from Alan, a charismatic YouTuber who has many of video tutorials on how to be self-sufficient in case the government collapses or there is a natural disaster. One day, Antoine is accepted in the new training program of training of several days of Alan in his isolated field and must guide up to the rural area of Nord du Quebec. Meets Alan in a special place near the forest, because she must leave her car behind and hand over her cell phone before you are brought onto the property. They go out on Alan's snowmobile, but first Alan does. Antoine wears glasses while blindfolded so he doesn't know where is his house. After crossing a bridge and a large open area, they finally arrive. Alan's place is made up of about 500 acres of land. Campets Anna and David welcome Antoine, and when he enters the common tent to leave his things can also meet Francois and Rachel. Alan reminds them of the rules, which are posted on the wall, and the curfew is 10:30 p.m. Moments later, Alan brings Sébastien, the last camper, so they can finally start training. Alan explains that he is in a temporary survivor autonomous zone, which has always been his dream project, and worked on it for a decade. There are 6 panels that provide electricity, an additional generator, a chicken coop, a greenhouse, productive apple and maple trees, and many wild trees. Animals in the forest to hunt. Through the forest, Alan keeps a number of evacuation clues just in case he ever attacks. There is only one that will actually get you out of there, everyone else is dead ends that function as traps. At the end of the right track, there is a container with the naked needs, so if you are never under attack, he can defend himself and claim his land. However, Alan never shows them in the right way and asks for the lengths. Do not enter the forest without him because they are dangerous. When night falls and everything goes to bed, the group discusses their experience with survival and their reasons for being here, such as his distrust of the government and the slow destruction of the planet. Most of them admit it's their first time doing something of training. The group is doing quite well, but unfortunately, their conversation stops when Alan reminds them of the curfew by turning off all the lights. The next day the training begins. Soon, Alan runs campers with heavy bags and weapons. He teaches them to grow their own vegetables and shows them how to cut and store wood. Later during dinner, they discuss recipes and the campsites decide to dedicate a toast to Alan, who thanks them for being there with him because he is happy to see his extended message. Not everybody are you intelligent to understand the coming danger. This means that they must take care of each other. Alan had a girlfriend who dumped him when he decided to move so far from the city, so having company again means a lot to him. After dinner, campers hang around the fire. Rachel shows off her self-defense moves too, easily defeating Sébastien and then David, who doesn't like how everyone makes fun of him for his loss. It turns out Rachel was in the military, and she also has a soldier boyfriend, but she is deployed. Francois thinks war is interesting, but Rachel refuses to answer any of her questions. She just makes it clear that she is no longer in the military. The next day, Alan divides the group into teams to practice target shooting while simulating an escape through the woods. Anthony and Rachel are very well behaved and Alan congratulated their teamwork. Training is stopped when Alan receives a message on his phone, and he takes the opportunity to show the group his traps. He uses special traps with satellite transmitter attachments that send a message when grabbed something, so Alan can come right away to get the animal back before someone can steal it. Shoot the rabbits and Alan teaches them how to clean them, making sure to point out that the organs are also edible. Alan works with a rabbit and has Francois clean the other, but the smell and the blood make Francois get sick, giving everyone a good laugh. At night, the group makes another bonfire and discuss what they would do if they caught a trapped person. Anna says that violence is not of her and Antoine shares that it would scare him. Distant intruder, But David is much more violent. He would kill the person and show the body how. A warning to other potential attackers. Sebastian. She says he would kill the person, but it seems he is joking, and Alain takes the opportunity to underline that the person in the trap could be a doctor or additional manpower, so the choice is more difficult than they think. The next morning, Antoine is first camper to wake up to find Alain playing the piano. Antoine thinks he's handsome and so on. He brings a sense of peace that I wish I could have too. Take your family. Alain tells him he could move here with his family as there is a lot of space, but Antoine isn't sure about going there. Distance. After breakfast, Rachel washes her dishes. Hurin is distracted by the boys' jokes. Alain suddenly enters the kitchen and screams at Rachel for letting the water run ever since. It's a waste of resources. Everyone is shocked to see this side of Alain, and after he's gone, they comfort Raquel. Later, Alain shows the group how to make bombs and mines. As you think, they should be able to hold their own against the mobs. Also, after successfully testing all bombs, Alain takes Sebastian to start work on the dinner, and the rest of the group has to put their gear away. Francois is the first to grab a box with bombs, but as soon as he takes a few steps, the box explodes and kills him. Rachel tries to do CPR is in vain and Anna goes looking for Alain. Antoine panics when he sees him pass, but David, he seems intrigued. Finally, they take the body inside and start talking about it. What to do? The vast majority have to call an emergency vehicle or the police and say it was a hunting accident. However, Alain and David come into conflict. They are sure of it. The police will see the equipment and blame them. Homegrown illegal bullying. The controversy arises and, before long everyone is yelling at each other. Then Alain chooses to stop it and remind everyone. It's the same kind of crisis you're supposed to. Getting ready. Feelings are running high, so they ought to nod off and talk about things in the morning when everybody has quieted down. At the point when they get back to their tent, Antoine, Rachel, Sebastian, furthermore, Anna examine their choices, including attempting to figure out how to get their telephones back, while David pays attention to them from his bed. Unexpectedly Anna. She hears a scream and everyone comes out to check. Despite the fact that David tries to take his gun first, it turns out Alain sent everyone to bed, so he could deal with the body himself, and currently, he is consuming it in the great fire. Anna is surprised and she tries to push Alain as she insults him, taunting Alain to punch her to get her off. This is the back problem. As a result, Antoine, Rachel, Sebastian, and Anna return to the shop to pack. Exit request. David remains faithful to Alain and has his back while Alain tries to persuade everyone to stay. The meeting couldn't care less about his reasons. Furthermore, he tries to leave anyway, prompting David to take the gun out of him and tell Alain what the others were doing, with plans against him earlier. Rachel gets attention for it. Direct shooting will no longer be a setback and David lowers his firearm, allowing them to leave. The meeting flees the shop and David follows them only to yell at them for tearing everything down. Alain also appears and surprises everyone, shooting Anna in the leg, and terrorizing Antoine, Rachel. Also, Sebastian is taking off. David needs to follow them, but Alain will ask you to help him move. Anna's at home. Anna can't stop screaming torment, but Alain ignores her and ties her to the table before performing the tourniquet on the wound. Meanwhile, a forest, the triplet keeps running in the dark. Also, they don't see screenshots of Alain, so Sebastian accidentally falls into one and bites the dust. This sends a message to Alain, discovering the area of currently, he and David can visit them. Also Raquel understands this and get out of the way of Antoine, which marks his departure. The moment Alain and David shows up and finds Sebastian's body, too, noticing the effects Rachel and Alain are having. In the snow a few minutes after the fact, Rachel and Alain find another path that leads them to Alain's crisis capacity. Consolidating their solidarity allows them to do so. Break the lock and go inside, where they find loads of weapons, supplies, and surprisingly, a GPS that can direct them out of there. At that time, they hear the snowmobile appear, so they rush to hide among the trees. While Alain and David search for them, Rachel thinks about shooting them. Instead, Alain, he doesn't leave her because she would cross a line. Alain find that they have taken weapons from the skill. David draws attention to the fact that they will have to take care of themselves. Also, making Alain insecure on the basis that he didn't need more disappearances on your property. Anyway, at the point where this is what David specifies, if Antoine and Rachel escape from Alain, will have to express goodbye to your imagination. Alain begins to see his point. When men leave to look elsewhere, Antoine and Rachel remain. When it moves and when the sun rises, visit a frozen river route. It's a huge open region that will allow them to remain uncovered, so they will have to be quick. Antoine goes first and Rachel follows, with a weapon out to cover it, but sadly, she steps on a thin patch of ice that cracks below her. Rachel falls into the freezing water, which removes her weapon and moves her away from the opening. Frantic, Antoine starts driving endlessly, snow to follow his shadow, and uses a blade to raise a ruckus in the city until he figures out how to open another vent, through which he saves Rachel. He might have it, so to speak. It has never been submerged flat, yet it is stationary, and is about to freeze, so Antoine hurries to put her in a camping cot, and this doesn't seem to be enough. Also, Antoine ends up getting into the camping cot excessively to share body heat. For now, Rachel begins to feel better. She says she thanks Antoine. Plus, she admits she's intrigued by his absence. Late when she needed to save her. During the war, faltered once and a bunch of people kicked the bucket. This is why he quit. After getting a surprise, the team keep moving, and using the GPS they find out how to find the region where they left their vehicles. They get in Antoine's vehicle, but when he tries to start it, they cannot be moved. Each of the tires has been cut. Antoine paves the way not to lose sight of the issue, and soon he has a chance. It turns out that David has a hit here from the very beginning, sitting just for them. Keeps shooting the vehicle, trying to get Rachel, but hides and uses a broken mirror too. She locates David's area. Then, at that moment, Rachel runs away the vehicle and shoots flames toward David, who finally moves too much and gives Rachel an opening up to shoot him in the leg. An incensed Rachel hops on him and starts hitting him with her weapon, until David backslashes dead. Thereafter, Rachel sheds some tears for Antoine prior to snatching his sack with supplies in addition to David's weapon. When Alain reaches the stop region, Rachel is now missing. Minutes after the fact, Rachel successfully returns to Alain's house and he is overwhelmed to find Anna. She kicked the bucket of wounds from her. Frantic for revenge, Rachel builds a fire in the children's room so that the smoke lets Alain know where she is. Over time the person appears. Rachel starts shooting from her spot on the window, and Alain quickly starts shooting backward. After exchanging a couple of shots, Alain chooses throw a projectile of smoke to create a thick fog, allowing you to enter the house without Rachel managing a hit on him. Inside, Alain advances louder as he calls Rachel, asking a ceasefire when he moves into the room she's in. Rachel hits him with the entrance, then a savage results of hand-to-hand battle. Alain pushes Rachel close up and pulls out a blade, but using accurate hits, Rachel figures out how to incapacitate he. Then, at that moment, Alain responds by throwing him inside the kitchen and grabbing the toaster to hit it with it before using the power cord to try kill her. During the fight, Rachel learns how. She grabs a blade from the counter and wounds Alain her leg before ripping it off in self-preservation. An extraordinary movement to break his arm. Now that Alain is weakened, Rachel drags him outside to tie him up, him to the snowmobile with the aim of taking him to the police. Alain tries to convince her, leave it here as no one will accept it. She too will be caught, though. Rachel, you overlook it and you start, not set in stone, to solve this problem with almost no more blood on their hands.